Welcome to the Dodger Download, the official podcast of the Fort Dodge Community School District. Each episode brings you the latest updates from our schools, including school board recaps, interviews with educators, staff, and students, plus upcoming events and stories from around the district. Whether you're a parent, student, or community member, stay connected to what's happening in the Dodger Nation. Let's dive into this episode of the Dodger Download. Welcome to the Dodger Download. I'm Superintendent Josh Porter, the official podcast of Fort Dodge Community Schools. I'm excited to have a good friend, longtime AD, wrestling coach, Don Miller here with me today.
Thank you, Josh.
So whether you're a proud parent, Dodger fan, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Now let's go to our sponsor for today's podcast, Central Iowa Distributing in Fort Dodge, trusted partner for janitorial sanitation supplies, family owned and operated for over 40 years. They proudly serve schools, businesses, and organizations across Iowa. As a valued partner of Fort Dodge schools, they're known for quality products, fast delivery, unbeatable service. Need that gym's floor surface repaired? Looking great for next school year? Call CID. They got you covered. Central Iowa Distributing, clean, simple, and reliable. So now time for some board tidbits. So last night we had one of our monthly board meetings. Our board meetings aren't overly exciting sometimes. I think it was about 25-minute board meeting last night for the school board, but we did purchase some school monitors. So we needed to get some new computer monitors for, our HR staff, some secretaries at the middle school. We hired a new Thrive coordinator, former Dodger. Remember Leo Dinklaw, be his daughter, sure. Melissa Dinklaw, but Alicia's life now. So she needed a new monitor for the program she's running, so we had to get some computer monitors. So anytime something's over $10,000, I have to take it to the board for approval. Under $10,000, we can just rubber stamp it and move on. So also we approved our contract with Jensen Builders. So you were a long time, spent a lot of time at Fort Dodge Senior High, where we passed that bond in the fall.
Correct.
So we passed the bond, and now Jensen Builders will be our construction manager at risk. So ultimately what they will do is they will oversee all the projects and help us with the new entrance, the new multi-purpose room or weight room is what it'll be, all the classroom renovations, CTE, and little theater. So, and then we had our monthly financials. So Brandon Hansel, who's been with the district for about 14 years, presents our monthly financials at the end of each month. We also had a bond rating call, which I didn't know what was a real thing. So when we passed our bond, I had to get on a call with Brandon for about an hour, and we had to just talk about Fort Dodge, which is really easy when you're talking about athletics and academics and activities. A little bit harder when you're talking about finances and financial structure. But yesterday we received an email that we got an A+ rating for our bond. Mm-hmm. So that means when we go to pay our bonds, we'll get a lower interest rate because we've been fiscally responsible. So that's good work on Hansel and our part, or the district's part, and our school board's part. So that's it for board tidbits. All right. Well, hey, I'm excited to introduce Don Miller. So longtime Dodger, originally Eagle Grove guy, but I'll let him talk about that himself a little bit. So, hey, Coach Miller, it's hard for me to call you Don, so I've always known you.
You can say Don.
I know I can.
I'm Don.
I can, but I can't call Birnbaum. I could say Birnbaum sometimes.
I just refer to those guys as my coach.
When I see him
coach.
Yeah.
I didn't coach you.
Yeah, so, but I always referred to you and known you as Coach Miller. You were the AD when I was in school. So I'm excited to have you on here because your heart and loyal Dodger, your whole life, outside of where you grew up. So, tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe your experience at Fort Dodge.
Well, I lived in Vincent till I was 18.
Yeah.
And then went to Wyoming to college, came back home, and my head coach when I was in high school at Eagle Grove called me and said, would you like to teach in our middle school? So I felt very fortunate. That was my interview. And I said, yes, and coach wrestling. And I said, sure. And so the first year was a great year. And then lo and behold, Hampton called.
Yep.
Hampton said we need a new head coach. And I thought, well, let's get started. I wanted to be a head coach, so applied, got the job, and had a good year. But my high school coach called me up again and said, Fort Dodge is looking for a wrestling coach. They called me but I'm going down to be Bernie Sagow, Assistant Executive Director at the High School Athletic Association. So I recommended you. So I want you to apply, but I've already recommended you. And I thought, I'm 23 years old.
Yeah.
They're not going to take a look at me. That's a big school.
Yeah.
We wrestled Fort Dodge every year in high school.
Yep.
And from my standpoint, I was glad I was from Eagle Grove because we never lost to Fort Dodge.
Yeah.
And I said, when I got the job, that's changing. And because Fort Dodge has got a history of wrestling that's second to none probably in the nation as far as the history of it.
Yep.
From way back when, of course, Mr. Cooper was football coach, wrestling coach, every school, the stadium's named after him.
Yep.
And there weren't many schools wrestling back then. I know that his dual meet record a lot of times were 6-0,
Yeah.
5-1.
Yeah.
And they wrestled Eldora, Eagle Grove, Gilmore City, small towns because that's where it started.
Yeah.
And but I applied, luckily got the job, and coached wrestling for 15 years and loved it. Still love it.
Yep.
It's important I always tried to stress to kids, if you've been through the program, whether you were a starter or not, you're still a part of our program.
Yep.
You're still part of the family. That's where that all started.
Yep.
And so go out and promote it. And sure enough, a lot of kids stayed around here and got wrestling kind of pumped up for me.
Yep.
And I say for me personally, but for our program. And along came a guy named Joe Zuspan and hit the spark plug, and boom, it took off.
Yeah.
And from then on, pretty darn good. So I was in high school for 32 years.
Yep.
That's eight 4-year programs. Kids said it took you a long time to get out of there, Coach, to graduate. And I said, yeah, probably did. But then I was in coaching for 15 years. Then I got into the administration.
Yep.
I wanted to be an athletic director.
Yep.
And you've been one, so you know sometimes people say, you want to be an athletic director. Well, when you were a coach, you took care of yourself.
Yeah.
And then when you take care of 20 people, head coaches, and then all the assistants.
Life changes pretty fast.
Your head's on a spin.
Yeah.
And so you're always encouraging, inspiring, putting a curtail on some things and just monitoring it.
Yeah.
And it was a full-time job. About 80 hours. No people know this, but the athletic director works probably longer than anybody in the system.
Yep.
Time-wise.
I would agree 100%.
And so that was okay. That's what I wanted. And then I became an assistant principal right along with it.
Yeah.
And did not want to be a head principal. Didn't want to run a program academically. I felt like my ability was better off in the athletic world, so that's where I stayed. And then after 35 years of teaching, I said that I've had all the fun with children I can stand.
Yeah.
And started playing more golf.
Yes. So when you were coaching, what did you teach?
I taught biology.
You taught biology.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever knew that. I should have probably known that. But you weren't teaching biology when I was there, so I wouldn't have known that.
No, I was up in the office at that time.
Yep.
And Eddie Birnbaum got a degree to teach biology.
Yep.
And that's another story. You know, when I retired, Hans Getz was interested in it, and Jerry Einwalder, who, God rest his soul, just passed away here not too long ago.
Yeah.
Hans took it for a few years, and he kind of wanted to move on. He wanted to be an athletic director.
Yeah.
And so he moved on, and there was a guy in our backyard. You know, they always say there's diamonds in your backyard.
Oh, yeah.
And there was Eddie, and did a wonderful job for 15, 16 years. And then luckily, here's Bobby coming along through the pipeline, and he's another Dodger wrestler, and they're both excellent wrestlers. In fact, they were co-captains of the wrestling team.
Yep.
So a lot of encouragement that way. So, but I've always loved Fort Dodge. I love the people. You know, we get some bad raps once in a while, but this town will take off their shoes and give them to you.
Yeah.
If you needed a pair of shoes.
Yep. 100%.
And people, I think once people come here, I talked to a guy about 10 years ago. I said, I'm in shock.
Yeah.
I wasn't real excited about coming to Fort Dodge. And I think I might get transferred someplace else. And he said, my wife's home crying. She does not want to leave. Yeah. And he said, so I may take a pay cut and stay here because this town is great. It really is.
Yep. And so I can relate to a lot of those, right? Coach wrestling a little bit. I went spend some time in Clarinda. I wanted to be an AD. That was just my passion. And I don't know if it was just from, I think I wanted to coach. I wanted to coach wrestling, and when I knew that an AD job was open, that's what I wanted to do. Crazy enough, that's what I wanted to do, because you're right, it's 80 hours a week. It's tough. So one thing I think is really interesting that I'd love for you to share with people is, how does a guy, an 18-year-old little runt from Eagle Grove, Iowa, decide to go to Wyoming to wrestle?
Well, just some background information. I won a couple state titles, and I got a lot of letters and a lot of contacts from colleges, Division I colleges.
Yep.
And I went to Iowa State, and they offered me a half ride. Oklahoma State, half ride.
Yep.
Oklahoma, half ride. And I thought, being selfish, I thought I know kids that are one-time state champions are getting full rides. And had I known what I know now, if I would have pushed the article a little bit, I probably could have got a full ride.
Yep.
But my only claim to fame, really, in college wrestling is that I never lost to Iowa State, UNI, or Iowa.
Yeah.
And but how I got to Wyoming was Joe Chelsby, another kid from Eagle Grove, went out to Wyoming. Got his degree, wrestled on the wrestling team. And in fact, one of the coaches in Fort Dodge that teaches out the college math, his name escapes me now. But anyway, he wrestled him in college. Fort Dodge and Eagle Grove wrestled at Wyoming, and that's something. But we went out and looked at the campus with my dad and mom. And what a beautiful camp. If you haven't been to Laramie, Wyoming, it's not Yellowstone, and
right.
It's not Jackson Hole, but the campus itself.
Yeah.
It's just they're all sandstone buildings, beautiful.
Yeah.
And I met the coach, and Wyoming was third in the nation 2 years before I got there.
Yeah.
So I said, they got a program, and I got out there, and you might want to know, was I homesick? You can't believe how homesick I was. So I always tell seniors who think, well, I'm going to college, like Coy Davidson. I told him, I said, I just want you to know, when you landed on the campus at Oregon State at Corvallis, you're going to be homesick.
Yeah.
Don't be ashamed of it.
Yep.
Everybody goes through it.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And then as soon as you sever that umbilical cord for the second time in your life, you're ready to go and just get after it. So won the conference 3 times, was an All-American. I just it's opened a lot of doors for me.
Yeah.
And as you well know, people don't probably appreciate it, but there's a lot of you're a piece of meat in college when you're a wrestler for college. You wrestle injured and taped up, and you go because you're out here to do that. But at the same time, I loved it. It was fun.
It took me. I went out to Iowa Central right away, so won a state title, and I thought, man, what am I going to do? I don't think I don't know if I was ready to leave yet, or if that just wasn't. I remember Troy Bennett and Mark Ostrander asking me to come out, so I went out there. And I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to enjoy this. This is going to be good. And you start practice the first day of school. So school starts, practice starts. Mm-hmm. Never did that before in my high school career. And then it was about 3 months later, and I don't know if I'd had a takedown yet. There was a kid named Todd Schmoss, and he was a returning, I think he got 3rd or 4th All-American the year before, and he was just ready. He was a college wrestler. I was not a college wrestler. And then he blew his knee out, and we had a duel versus Iowa. Because at that time, when I was in college, Iowa and Iowa State both came and wrestled Iowa Central in a duel. And Ostrander goes, hey, Porter, I got a red shirt. You got to wrestle against Iowa. So I went out there and wrestled a guy named Paul Ginn. And that was quite the experience for me.
Yeah,
didn't last very long, but I was out there.
Well, that's why Iowa Central's got such a great program.
Yeah.
They put them out against all the big schools when they can and get a lot of matches, so when they go to the Nationals, they're not afraid of anybody.
And Luke Moffitt was one of my teammates. He's been the head coach out there a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Probably it is the best program out there consistently on a year-to-year basis.
It's the gold standard out there, Iowa Central.
Yep. So which is impressive between Fort Dodge Community Schools and then Iowa Central. And,
well, it's inbred in the town. Everybody that grows up wants to.
Right.
I gave a joke at an award banquet when I was out there. I said, from Iowa, I said,
Yeah.
you go out for wrestling. If you can't make the wrestling team, you try basketball.
You try basketball.
And I know that was, and there was a team where to get a reward, and I said, and I'm just kidding, guys. They're all like 6'5" to 6'9". Yeah. And I said, I'm just kidding. So just having fun with it. But it's something if you like, if you love it. It's not for everybody.
Yep, that's right.
You know, and I've had some kids turn their stuff in, washed in a sack, saying, Coach, I said, if it's not for you, you don't have to, survive.
Yeah, that's right.
Just try something else, but don't just sit around.
Yeah.
Try something else. Did not like the comments we used to get from football players once in a while that they were going to keep wrestling and lift weights.
Yeah.
Which they never had the discipline to do.
Correct.
And now it's flip-flopped where they want you out for wrestling because of your agility and other techniques you can pick up. But it's just a unique sport. And if you get into it, you're hooked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we have those conversations now. So Coach Mosier and Coach Thompson and continuing, and Coach McClyman coaches football and wrestling a little bit, and trying to get those guys to make sure, like,
sure,
hey, these things go hand in hand. You gotta work together and get as many kids out for wrestling and football as you possibly can.
Yeah, and at the same time, I was always a firm believer, because I did 4 sports every year for 4 years.
Yep.
The more sports you're in, the better athlete you'll be. And I think it proved beneficial.
Yep. Oh, 100%. We're going to stay with wrestling for a second. So wrestling's changed a lot. So we just had NCAA D1 Nationals just took place. Had a Dodger go out there, get 5th place, national runner-up. We know he didn't finish probably where he wanted to, but you've seen a lot of wrestling over the years. What in your eyes, what's changed so much in the sport of college wrestling?
You got all these different workout teams that they can work out after supper.
Yep.
The Sea Bolts and all those that they go to. And they are wrestling now almost year-round.
Yeah.
Which is sad in some regards, because that does limit some of the guys from doing some other sports.
Yep.
But if you're little like Ayala, he wasn't going to be an All-American in football, so at his size.
Yeah.
But what a representative for Fort Dodge. They mention that all the time, because we know the people, Tim Johnson and Jim Gibbons. We know those guys and associate with them. But he held the red and black flag up pretty proudly. And when you're a 2-time national runner-up, I felt bad for him both times. But, how many other people can walk around the world and tell you I was a 2-time national runner-up? I mean, you'd not give our left leg to probably do that.
Yes, or 3-time All-American.
And then to beat the guy that beat him.
Yeah.
It just showed you how these younger kids coming along, like Oklahoma State, my word. They are just, I couldn't believe how they just went. The kid that wrestled at Mendoza from Ohio State.
Oh, yeah.
He attacked him like he owned him.
Yeah.
And this guy's already a 2-time national champion.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, they got something going. Well, we've got a young man going down there next year. So I hated to see him leave Iowa and Iowa State. But you got to go where the pipe's hot.
Yeah, I've watched him. He's you've got a chance to watch him a few times in Fort Dodge.
What an icon already.
Yeah.
And what a nice young man.
Yeah.
He and Ayala are two peas in the pod.
Yeah.
Smart.
One thing I can tell you from my experience, and I'm not with those guys every day, but they've just done a lot of things the right way.
Oh.
They train right. They eat right.
Every time I walk by the wrestling team at the dual meets, if they see me, they say, "Hi, coach." Hi, coach. Hi, coach. And they've been taught that.
Yeah.
They've been taught the family aspect by Bobby, and he's done a wonderful job.
Yep.
And I'll guarantee you, he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer next year.
Yep.
Because he's done a wonderful job.
Yep. So leads me into the last thing with wrestling. For the most part, we're looking for our next head wrestling coach. What is?
Well, if there's a guy named Drake Ayala that has any interest at all, I'd have a semi down there packing up his house and driving him back. I mean, you throw the barn at that boy if he's interested. But who knows? He's got a business degree.
Yeah.
I wish he had a teaching degree, because I really think there's a little better situation when you're in the building.
Yeah.
When they know you're there and you can contact them. But at the same time, everybody else does it and it works for them. So,
what are some keys to the person, whoever would ever take this job over after Bobby?
Well, number one, they have to like the community.
Yep.
They have to come in and they have to feel welcome and feel like I got a bucket of chicken from the south side of Fort Dodge from Castagnoli, and to welcome me. And no one in Hampton did that, and no one in Eagle Grove did that. They did it.
Yep.
And you have to like the community. And then I think you have to be mostly interested in how am I going to make this individual a better person.
Yeah.
He's got to have that philosophy. Yep. What's your philosophy about handling kids? Is it your way or the highway, or are you going to deviate and let some kids do some things and others do things? Which what we did, you take the move you can do and do it.
Yeah.
And then be able to work with the community. In other words, work with the parents and let them know what's going on. Don't hide anything. You have to be real translucent.
Yep.
Let them, some coaches don't even want them in their wrestling room. But on the same token, you don't want the parents to think they're coaching, because they're not.
Yeah.
You have to tell the kids, you're going to listen to us because right now I'm going to steal you for 4 months. You're my child.
Yep.
and I'm going to raise you.
Yep.
And don't have mom and dad call me, because they're not going to like what they hear. If you go home and just tell your mom and dad, why didn't you tell me? Why don't you tell one of the assistants?
Right.
Let's work together on this.
Yep.
And if they do all of those things, it'll come.
Yeah.
And then you got to also do this. You got to also recruit, and you got to get things. You got to stir the pot.
Yeah.
And that's what's going on right now. There's club out to the Iowa Central.
Yep.
Or through what I think is that, who's the boy?
Brody Tusky through Built Tough.
Yeah.
That's what we're thinking of.
Yeah, out there. And see, that's him giving back.
Yep.
If you give back and keep in touch with those guys and don't say, well, you don't do that. I don't want you to teach them like you do. Don't say that.
Yeah.
Work with them like they're your friend and your partner. And if you do those things, the community will come on board.
Yeah.
But one thing about the wrestling community, you better have some success. They don't like to lose. Right. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
And that's partly what life's all about.
Right.
In any kind of job you have, you don't want to lose. You want to be successful.
Some people will say it's not all about winning, but winning's a lot of fun. Last time I checked.
Losing's not.
Losing is not fun.
And I told my grandson before he tore both ACLs that you never lose. That L doesn't stand for losing. Yeah. It stands for learning.
Yep.
If you've learned something, it wasn't a loss.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things, this is true in all sports. Yeah. But that's the things I think I'd like to see in a coach that comes here.
And one thing is we both know Fort Dodge loves its wrestling. It's been embedded in us. It's been part of our lives. It was a huge part of my life. It's what probably put me into education. It's what made me want to coach. And for years and years, I sat back wondering when my chance was to come back and be the head wrestling coach of Fort Dodge. That's just what I wanted to do. That was a goal of mine. Pat Rowell is one of my best friends. We talked about it all the time. And then Bobby stayed, and Bobby didn't go anywhere. So that door closed, and then I got into administration. And once you get into administration, it's really hard to go back. Typically, you don't go back. And so, then the AD portion came open. And guess what? It was members of the wrestling community that my phone was dinging and ringing. And a couple times my wife said, hey, we're doing good down in Southwest Iowa. We love it down here. Don't stop answering your phone. And, and I remember, I think Andy Adams shot me a message and said, hey, what are you doing?
Well, we plucked the arrow right back home.
Yeah, right. And so that's just, that's part of it. So, it's what brought me back, a lot of times. And and my wife's not from here. My wife's from Harlan, Iowa, and my wife absolutely loves Fort Dodge. She said, hey, you can't mess this job up, because if you have to go take another job or leave, that's on you. We're staying. You'll be without your wife and kids. We love it here. My family loves it here.
It's interesting. You mentioned something like that. When I got married in college, to take my wife back to Wyoming, on September 9th, I went to class. It snowed about 7 inches that day before I got back. And she's sitting on the couch with tears in her eyes. And the first words out of her mouth was, where did you take me? And you know what my response was? Oh, it's going to get a lot worse than it is.
that made it better, didn't it?
Then she started quit doing that. I said, well, honey, this is Wyoming. This is up in the mountains. We're 7,200 feet. but that also helped those. They use that in every athletic team that comes on campus.
Yeah.
Football games included. Welcome to 7,200 feet. Are you ready? Because it'll suck the oxygen right out
of you. Yeah.
When you train there, nothing to it.
I'd love to hear.
I'm glad they got you back here.
Yeah, well, I love being back, and this role is obviously a lot different. Did the AD role for a couple years, and I love being an AD, and as an AD down in Southwest Iowa. And, that was my passion. Now my passion's changed a little bit.
You might be the only AD, though, that I know about that when you went to watch a softball game, and for some reason the referee didn't show you referee because you're licensed to do referee at softball.
Yeah.
You won't find that every day.
No, we were out of options, and the kids needed to play, right?
Yeah.
So if the kids are going to play, we have to have an umpire. So you just get out there.
You gotta make do.
You gotta make it happen. So I'd love to hear a story, maybe not about wrestling, but about your time as an AD. One of your favorite moments of your time as an athletic director.
Well, surprisingly, it's kind of unique, but one thing that really always just pops up in my mind, people used to give me a bad time about it. When Dutch hired Tom Goodman his last year, he hired him and Dutch left.
Yep.
He said, "Now he's kind of hard to handle," and he said, "Not really," because I coached him in basketball. But he says, "I'm retiring," and that's when I got the job. And he said, "You'll do fine with Tom because you were late." And I liked Tom. I thought he did a great job.
Yep.
And then I got invited after they won the state tournament to explain to him how he won the state tournament. And I said, "Guys, you got the wrong guest. He scored more points than the other team."
Yeah.
And that's where a wrestler comes in at.
Yep.
And I played basketball in the junior high, and I could dribble and pass pretty good at it. But I dented a lot of metal backboards back in those days, so Coach said, "You better go to the wrestling mat." But that was a big one. And plus, I was really tickled to death to see Eddie and Bobby have all that success.
Yeah.
My chest just popped all the time.
Yeah.
Because they were getting things done, winning tons of duels. And then that's another aspect. They took wrestling from 4 duels. Oh, wait a minute. We went from, you could have 1 tournament when I got here, and 14 dual meets. And they flip-flopped that, so you could have 5 tournaments, and then you could have, I think, 7 or 8 dual meets. Well, now you can go to 500 things.
Yeah, you can do a lot
Bobby
more now.
Thompson's out of state.
Yep.
And so these kids get to 100 matches. I wrestled 4 years on varsity, 3 on varsity, and I wrestled as a freshman. My record was I only lost 3 and won 67. These guys win 160 matches and lose 75.
Yeah.
Well, I never got near that number.
It's a little different.
It's another. It's got RPMs. It's going full bore.
100%. Well, you were also part of recruiting other coaches in our district too.
Yeah, I had to hire. My first hire when I got here was Matt Miller.
Oh yeah.
And he was from Aurelia, where Sam coached, and he needed an assistant.
Yep.
And so I called him up and said, "Sam says you're interested in a job. Would you like to come over and apply? We'll have a group and we'll meet with you." And we're all meeting in that little conference room up there at the high school.
Yep.
About 8 of us, and Sam was worried that he might show up in a T-shirt and a pair of shorts.
Which could have happened.
But he said he's a great coach. I think he did a great job, which he proved. And he gets out of the car. He's got on a 3-piece suit with a vest. Shoes are brand new. You can tell they're hurting his feet. And he walked over. And the last thing I said to Matt was, I want you to just give me your overall general philosophy of how you're going to do this whole program. And he was so nervous that when he talked for a while and he needed to breathe, he made this funny sound like, "Ah!" And I thought he was going to die in the interview. And I said, "No, relax. You're among friends here now. You're among friends."
I hope Matt Miller watches this while he's probably golfing or doing something in Arizona right now.
I've said this to him a million times.
Yeah, I hope he's watching. That'll be awesome. And Matt Miller was one of my coaches. He wasn't my head coach because I had Sam for football, but Matt was an assistant and known Matt for a long time.
Another one that I was interested in Andy Adams.
Yep.
and went over to Webster City to watch her coach. And she always accused me that I drove over there in a Cadillac. I had a Buick LeSabre. And but then when she heard that I was interested in her, she kept calling me, and I said, Andy, one thing I'm going to teach you in Fort Dodge. What's that? Is patience.
Yep.
Well, when I retired, I called her in and had a little chat with her and said, I want you to know one thing. I failed as an AD because I have not given you patience and taught you patience. Her head's going 90 miles an hour.
Yeah, I don't know what year she's in as a coach right now, but she still has not learned patience.
But I watched the games out there. I just hope she doesn't have a heart attack.
If it's if you want intensity and success and someone that really wants to win, Andy's been a staple for our softball program.
And then Matt Elslecker, I hired him.
Yep.
And guess what? I said I need a baseball coach. I've had about 2 or 3 guys that were not good.
Yep.
And then I got thinking. I said, Bancroft, Iowa has the greatest baseball programs.
Yep.
Over and over. So I called up there to their principal, and he said, do you have anybody up here from Bancroft that just graduated looking for a job or has been out and wants to go to a bigger school? And he said, Matt Elsbecker. He's ready to move to some bigger community. So I called him, and he was a little bit tentative, but he just fit in like a glove in that.
Yeah.
Our program did a 180 so quickly.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show you what a good coach can do for a program.
So long story short, I graduated in high school. Matt Elsbecker had 1 year as a head coach. His second year as a head coach, I joined his staff. Now, I played baseball in high school. I loved baseball.
He knows every intricate thing.
I did not know how to teach baseball or necessarily coach baseball. And I was with Matt for, I think, 4 or 5 years during that time where that dial turned over. And man, we weren't very good the first couple years. And it really just changed really quick, all the way from, I remember us knocking off Mason City at Mason City to go to the state tournament one time, almost on a fluke, which is maybe not a fluke, but it was a fluke. A kid tripped and fell. It's literally how we qualified. And then since there, Caddy barred the door because they were just really good. And then I obviously went off and finished my education career so I could get a job and not just be a coach at Fort Dodge. So I learned a lot from Matt.
Oh yeah, he knows.
Matt was one of the first guys I worked with, and
I'm sure he'd say the same thing about you. Yeah. He would never know how to coach the way you know how to coach.
Yeah,
and that's true. And that's why they're good at it.
Yeah, I actually spent a year with Bobby Thompson at Humboldt. So that's what Bobby did. Bobby was up at Humboldt, remember, he's head wrestling coach, and I was here. And Bobby called me and goes, "Hey, I need someone to be my assistant and help with little kids wrestling. Like we gotta change some things at Humboldt." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So for a whole year, I drove to Humboldt, and so
Sure.
So
and Humboldt's always had a good program.
Humboldt's always had a really good program.
And I'm so old that when they first started their program, we went over there to teach kids how to do a switch and a stand-up, and they didn't know anything.
Yeah.
But it didn't take them very long, and they won a state title.
Yeah. Just from the Fort Dodge school as a whole, I mean, things have changed a lot in education. What's something that you just have noticed or that you really get you kind of excited?
I'll be honest with you. You might not think this is a big deal. I've always thought if you needed a building that showed that kids couldn't wait to get to.
Yep. And
when I got here in 70, it was built, and we went to work in 58 or 59. I'm not sure on that. So it was old at that time, starting to get that way. And then this is 30 some years later, or 40 years later, 56 years later.
Yep.
I came in 70 and I'm still here. So,
yep.
But the building was always tip-top shape.
Yep.
I don't know how we got the green walls. So I think the guy from the St. Edmund board must have been on our board too. So, but I always
got the green tiles.
I always teased Dutch. I said, "Oh, we get green tile." He said, "Oh, I think our comptroller he likes St. Edmunds, so he got green on it." It doesn't make any difference. I love St. Edmunds too.
Yep. Same.
And congratulations to them.
Yeah.
What a way to go out, win your last state tournament and go out.
Yeah. And go out. Yeah. Perfect. Right.
But I like the school. I've been in the tunnels.
Yeah.
I've been in every orifice in that building.
Yep.
Downstairs at the pool, trying to help. We had to get some filters redone down there. but it needed upkeep. I mean, think about it. It's that was, say it opened up in 60. That's 40, 65. It's like 70 years old.
Yeah.
I'm 79. I don't want to start out. Yeah, I'd like to be fresh too, but they don't might have any parts left for me.
And we've done some small things, but that bond's going to really help us do that.
I was tickled to death when that went through. I made a few phone calls, and then a few phone calls went to more phone calls because other people needed it. Yeah. They could see it too. Everybody could see that. Yep. And the way it is right now, what you've done so far just brought it up 10, 25, 30, 40 years. Yeah. I mean, you walk into that gymnasium and then the cafeteria, all those on-the-wall stuff, you don't see that everywhere.
No. And, so hopefully through this bond project, I feel like when we're said and done, it's going to be one of the best high schools that you're going to find anywhere. And it's not going to be a brand new school. We're not tearing it down and building a new one, but it's going to look pretty darn new. And I've read in the paper about all the things you're going to do. And my Lord, when I got there, the biology rooms were outside walls. And when it was 90 out, it was 105 in the room. Yep.
And we were just sitting around sweating like a pig, waiting to find out when we're going to get out. Well, now you've got air conditioning throughout the building, but that's getting old too because that was put in a long time ago.
Well, people like nice, shiny new objects. That wasn't what it was like, probably in the 70s and 80s. Kids used to come in and sit in a desk and mind themselves, and didn't matter if the desk was comfortable or not comfortable. They sat there and did exactly what they were supposed to do. It's changed a lot.
Oh, sure.
It's changed a lot. So, we're working on this multi-purpose room. We'll have one of the nicest weight rooms with some indoor turf, batting cages.
Glad to hear that.
That'll be that you'll find within 100 miles of this place. And
I fought like crazy to even get that one we had.
Correct.
And that was miles bigger than the high school room with 5 weights in it.
Yeah. I remember the football locker room had about 3 racks in it and some weights, and that just was our weight room.
Well, I'll tell you a quick story. That locker room you locked in for football used to be Fred Cooper's wrestling room.
Oh, really?
And
that's
right.
right.
You also had that fireplace in there.
Yep.
That's where they had the Sports Booster Club at.
The stadium upgrades are extremely nice and were much needed.
Oh, my Lord. That entrance right now makes your heart my heart pounds when I walk in there. It's like, these kids don't I hope they appreciate this stuff that we're doing for them.
Yep. And I think they do. And I think what we're just showing is Fort Dodge kids deserve to get treated really well too and have the things. And you don't have to leave Fort Dodge to have nice things, Well,
one of the things when we joined the CIML years ago, every time we went down to Valley or to some other big new school, they had electronic scoreboards for softball and baseball.
Yeah, yep.
We had numbers that you could flip over. I mean, it was good for us to see it because it said, hey, come on, folks.
Yep.
These kids deserve more than this. They deserve a better situation. And some people took it as, well, they don't know when to quit coming in and arguing. I said, you know what? They need it.
Yeah.
We need it. Get your checkbook out.
Yeah.
Let's start raising some money. Let's go do it.
You got to be creative.
Sure.
And there's ways to do things, and we want to make sure we meet the needs of everybody, and we're going to do some things for fine arts as well, and the band and vocal music rooms, as were the same as they were 30 years ago as well, and they're getting some significant upgrades. So super excited. Our first project's going to be the front entrance to the high school. So that old leaky canopy, that one's hopefully here in another month or two, that's going to start coming down, and we're going to be putting up something nice and fresh and new, and, hopefully light a little excitement under, like, hey, that's the front of the building.
The front of the building at one time, that parking lot out, that grassy area out front, that was the parking lot.
That was the parking lot.
Kids decided there was an old grass field in the back. They just started parking back there, one by one until they had all the kids parked back there. That was before it was blacktop. When I got here, it was gravel.
Yep.
About, I guess, 2 years before that, it was just a dirt field. But the cars used to get stuck when it rained.
So, we've come a long ways.
Oh, are you going to use that same entrance that we have now for athletics?
I think so, as of right now. Yep, we're not doing anything to that entrance yet.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice to find a way to highlight that a little bit.
For a long time, you know, we had it wasn't not even that. We had them come in the front door, and then we had them come in the front doors over there. Then they had to park the car here, go through the building, and so we finally made that decision.
Right.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to all this stuff. How long is it going to take for all this stuff to take place?
You know, they say we have about 3 years to do it, but I imagine 2.5 years or so. You know, we got to redo the pool. Pool is as old as the building, and so over time, chlorine and chemicals destroy stuff.
Well, the pool was built in 1974.
Was it built in 74?
Yeah, and that used to be just an empty lot.
So that's what, 50 years old?
Oh,
so
yeah.
Over 50 years, the chlorine and chemicals have really attacked it. So we got some work to do there, you know. But yeah, some of it'll take a little bit. But by the time we get to everything, I would say 2.5 years, we'll get her knocked out. We got Jensen Builders on board last night, so good, reputable company here in town.
He's a Fort Dodge graduate.
Yep.
Fort Dodge Senior High.
Yeah, really. So. Yeah, so excited to have them on board, and that'll kind of help us get the timeline rolling.
Well, I tell you what, you and the board keep doing the job.
Yeah,
because I tell you what, I heard nothing but kudos. Don't let it go to your head because your head's already pretty good size. Yeah. But you know what? It is. It's nice to know things are going smoothly.
Yep.
And nobody's got on the board to debate a crisis.
Yep. We have a really fortunate board that supports all kids and everything that goes on in the district.
And people don't realize how much time the people on the board give.
Yeah.
For nothing.
For $0. Not a single
when you're on the
thing.
council, at least you get a
stipend or
chunk change, you know.
Yeah.
But so it's unbelievable, and they're all bright.
Yep.
They're all good people, and they come from varied backgrounds, and that
Absolutely.
helps. That helps.
Well, awesome. Well, hey, we'll wrap up today's episode. Central Iowa Distributing in Fort Dodge, trusted partner for janitorial sanitation supplies, family owned and operated for over 40 years. They proudly serve schools, businesses, and organizations across Iowa. As a valued partner of Fort Dodge Schools, they're known for quality products, fast delivery, unbeatable service. Need that gym floor surface repaired? Looking great for next school year? Call CID. They got you covered. Central Iowa Distributing, clean, simple, and reliable. Any final thoughts or anything from you?
No, I just I like what you're doing here today. I've seen it many times, and I enjoy it. And it's just another good way to get the information out to the people.
Yep.
Transparency, I believe, is very important.
Very important. And I love to learn about the history of Fort
this
Dodge.
town's loaded with history.
Yeah, and no one's going to know it. I mean, there might be a few out there that know it about as well as you, but very rooted in Fort Dodge and been here. Been a staple for a long time.
I will tell you this one more thing that I did years ago. We had a Schultz Award for the outstanding boy athlete.
Yep.
And we had a business and professional women award for the girl that was outstanding, but wasn't necessarily an athlete. Well, as time once we got it started, it got to the point where more athletes were being rewarded. So the women came to me and said, could we change that? We'd like to pull our award away, still have it, but we want requirements just for academics and activities and involvement. I said, that's fine. We'll start one like the Schultz Award. Now, then I had to find a female that had done outstanding things in athletics. We didn't have girls in athletics till 74. So how do you have any history to do that?
Yeah. So
we finally got a hold of the former middle school teacher, phys ed, down there at North. What's the female award?
Nordman.
Mrs. Nordman.
Yep.
Called her up, asked, and told her what we wanted to do, and we'd like to have her be honored in that.
Yep.
And the very first one, we'll present the plaque with your picture on it. We'll get a plaque, She didn't know. I just do phys ed and hand out towels. And I said, bless your heart, Mrs. Norman. You are by far the most inspirational female staff member we have. And she was for girls, And then finally, she called me and said thank you, and she started showing up before she passed on a few years ago.
Yeah.
But how do you go set up a girls' athletic program when we didn't have any girls'
Didn't have
athletics?
any girls, yeah. So
And nobody did.
there's
around
a
here.
history lesson for you right there.
Yeah, nobody did.
We've come a long ways.
Oh.
Now we have girls wrestling,
Well,
and it's booming.
I wish they'd had it when my daughter was going through high school.
Yeah.
She would have been okay, I think. But
Yeah.
It's the fastest growing sport in America.
Yeah.
And if Iowa State was going to drop in gymnastics, they better throw in wrestling.
Yeah. I bet it's not far away. What do you think?
I hope Pollard's got that on the back burner and gets it up front.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, pal.
I get to see him every once in a while. He's got a granddaughter that's the same age as my daughter, so
Yeah, fun to watch them do their things.
They do a lot of the same activities, so we get to see each other every once in a while, and then always the Don Miller invite, of course. And
Well, just stay happy. That's all I can tell you, folks.
Absolutely.
That's all you got in life. And enjoy every minute.
Yep.
Because it seems like yesterday I got here.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks again, and thanks for joining. As we wrap up today, just a few things. We have, here's another highlight for you, and you'll remember this. Our 99th musical, Fort Dodge musical, is on April 23rd, 24th, and 25th. So we believe it's one of the longest running musicals in the nation. In the nation. And so
Larry Mitchell told me that many times.
Yep. And so this is 99. Next year will be 100. That's a big one. And I always liked the spring as an AD. I didn't mind it. You golf, tennis, track, you're outside. You pray for good weather. You don't always get what you want when you do that, but you pray for good weather. But, April is our track meet month. We do a lot of our track meets in April.
Talking about that, Larry and what he did with all those.
Oh, yeah.
They did that at South Junior High in that little gym for years.
Oh, really?
Can you imagine that?
Oh, man, that art musical production is...
Well, with this new middle school gym, auditorium.
Have you seen a nicer auditorium?
No,
not in a middle school.
Unbelievable.
So, yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah, and my kids are all involved in that. So
yeah.
Grandkids.
Yep.
And that's what that's what I want to tell people in the Fort Dodge. Get your kids involved in something.
Yep.
Band, speech, art, drama. There's so much to offer there.
Yep.
Otherwise, high school's kind of boring.
Yeah. If all you do is go to school, it's not a whole lot of fun.
You won't remember your chemistry or your biology, but you'll remember what you did with your classmates.
Yep.
Forever.
Well, awesome. Well, thanks
Thank you
again.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. Thanks again for joining the podcast. Make sure you follow our podcast a little bit. And as always, go Dodgers.
Absolutely. Go Dodgers.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Dodger Download, your source for all things Fort Dodge schools. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode and share with your friends, family, and fellow Dodgers. For more update and resources, visit us at fdschools.org or follow the Fort Dodge Community School District on social media. Until next time, keep showing that Dodger pride. This podcast is produced by Spin Market and Digital. Located in Fort Dodge, Iowa, Spin Market's highly skilled team can help you increase your market by updating your website, improving SEO, designing advertisements, and producing podcasts that will grab the attention of your market. Contact Spin Market today for all your digital marketing needs at digitalagent@spinmarket.com or call us at 515-302-8026. And to learn more, visit our website at www.spinmarket.com. That's digitalagent@spinmarket.com or 515-302-8026. Or visit our website at www.spinmarket.com.